The jungle did not feel alive, it felt like it was holding its breath. Deep within the Indo-Burman ranges, the teak and bamboo canopy wove so tightly together that the midday sun was choked down to a bruised, twilight green. Min wiped a thick paste of sweat and red laterite dust from his eyes. He was 22, a university geology student running a solo mapping transect across a newly suspected fault line. At 5'3" and a wiry 41 kilograms, the 30-pound canvas pack of rock samples strapped to his back threatened to pull him backward with every step up the incline. He paused, resting his hand against the rough bark of a massive dipterocarp tree. He pulled out his Xiaomi 13. The screen's brightness cutting through the gloom. The offline topographical map showed he was exactly where he needed to be, 2 kilometers off the logging trail, right on the edge of a deep, unmapped ravine. He tapped the screen to log his coordinates, but the GPS icon just spun in a slow, mocking circle. No signal. No satellites. He shoved the phone back into his pocket and unclipped his steel Estwing rock hammer. He approached the edge of the ravine. The exposed rock face here was a geologist's stream, a chaotic melange of serpentinite and deep-sea chert, thrust upward by millions of years of tectonic violence. He swung the hammer, striking a dark green boulder. A sharp clack echoed through the trees. He struck it again. Clack. Then, he noticed it. The silence. The cicadas, which had been generating a deafening, electric hum all morning, had stopped. The macaque monkeys in the upper canopy were entirely still. The air pressure dropped so rapidly Min felt a dull ache bloom behind his eardrums. He looked down at the rock he had just struck. A hairline fracture was spreading across its surface. But it wasn't from his hammer. The crack was widening, hissing like a lit fuse. A low, guttural vibration rumbled not through the air, but through the soles of his heavy boots. Min took a step back. The earth beneath his boots didn't just shift, it dissolved. Gravity took him before he could scream. The forest floor gave way in a violent cascade of mud, roots, and shattering stone. Min fell backward into the ravine, tumbling down a 60-degree slope of jagged shale and loose dirt. The world became a spinning centrifuge of green, brown, and gray. He instinctively threw his arms over his head, his rock hammer flying from his grip into the brush. He slammed onto a narrow, rocky ledge halfway down the gorge, the breath exploding from his lungs in a ragged gasp. A shower of pebbles and soil rained down on him for a few agonizing seconds before the jungle settled back into a dusty, terrifying silence. Min lay on his back, staring up at the sliver of gray sky through the canopy. His vision blurred, then focused. He tried to sit up, but a sickening spike of agony pinned him down. He looked at his right leg. A slab of dark green serpentinite, easily weighing 100 pounds, had slid down with him and come to rest directly across his calf. Panic, sharp and cold, pierced through his shock. "Help!" he screamed, the word tearing at his dry throat. It was swallowed instantly by the vastness of the forest. He reached into his pocket with trembling, mud-slicked fingers. He pulled out his phone. The screen was shattered into a chaotic spiderweb, the display flickering violently before dying completely. He was truly alone. Then came the first drop. It hit his cheek, fat, cold, and heavy. Within seconds, the sky unleashed a torrential, unseasonal monsoon downpour. In the steep, V-shaped ravines of the Myanmar highlands, heavy rain meant only one thing: flash floods. The dry riverbed 50 feet below him began to hiss. A thin stream of brown water appeared, idly widening and churning with debris. The water level would rise to his ledge in less than an hour. He had to move, or he would drown in the dark. Gritting his teeth, Min stopped trying to push the rock and instead started digging beneath his trapped leg. His fingernails tore against the buried chert, blood mixing with the mud. With a guttural scream that tore his vocal cords, he twisted his body and yanked his leg backward. His knee popped. The skin on his shin peeled away against the rough stone, but he was free. He scrambled backward, dragging his useless right leg, gasping for air as the pain threatened to black him out. Below him, the hiss of the stream had turned into a deafening roar. The ravine was filling. Min looked up. The edge of the ravine was 40 feet above him. A near vertical wall of slick, dissolving mud, exposed roots, and unstable rocks. He had one good leg, 2 torn hands, and failing strength. But the water below was rising fast, an angry torrent of chocolate-brown fury snapping tree branches like twigs. He dragged himself to the base of the wall. His fingers found a thick, snake-like banyan root protruding from the mud. He pulled himself up. His injured leg hung uselessly, sending waves of nausea through his stomach every time it brushed against the cliff face, 10 feet. The rain pounded against his back like a physical weight. The mud was a living thing, fighting him, trying to grease his hands and send him back into the abyss. 20 feet. He slipped. His left boot lost its purchase, and he dropped 3 feet, his arms screaming as they took his entire body weight. His shoulder joint ground in its socket. He looked down. The floodwaters were now surging over the ledge where he had been trapped just minutes ago. The roaring water was a hungry, chaotic beast. "Not here," Min whispered, the words lost to the storm. His hand brushed against cold steel buried in the mud. His est-wing rock hammer. It had fallen with him and lodged securely in a tight fissure of bedrock. He grabbed the rubber grip. It was the only solid thing left in the world. Using it as an anchor, he hauled his chest up, digging the toe of his good boot into a narrow crevice. 30 feet. Hypothermia was setting in. His hands were numb, his jaw locked in a violent shiver. The world narrowed down to the next inch. The next root. The next agonizing pull. He didn't think about his degree anymore. He didn't think about the geological fault lines. He thought about his family's small house, the warmth of a kitchen fire, the simple, profound desire to just be alive tomorrow. With a final, desperate surge of adrenaline, Min drove the sharp pick of his hammer over the lip of the ravine, sinking it deep into the solid earth of the forest floor above. He pulled. His muscles tore, his vision went completely white, and he threw his torso over the edge. He rolled away from the drop, collapsing onto the flat, safe ground of the jungle trail. He lay in the mud on his back, his chest heaving violently, the rain washing the dirt and blood from his face. Below him, the floodwaters raged, tearing away the very wall he had just climbed. But Min didn't look back. He closed his eyes, gripping the handle of his rock hammer tightly against his chest, listening to the furious, beautiful sound of his own breathing. The end. Please subscribe and share.